Imagine you come home from a long day at work to find a letter from your power provider in your mailbox. It's weird, you think to yourself. You went paperless years ago and your auto payments have been coming out just fine. To your shock, you learn that your regional utility provider is invoking eminent domain to take your home and property for a data center. Sound crazy? Well, that's exactly what's happening to Ansley Brown in Coweta County, Georgia. Her mother's 2003 family home is just one of many targeted for demolition, so Georgia Power can run new power lines to support a nearby data center. Ashley calls it a real David versus Goliath fight, and it certainly is. How is this fair? But wait a second, I feed Goliath daily. Hell, we all do, including Ansley. And it's not just about AI, it's just internet use in general. But are we going to accept that Americans losing their homes is just the cost of doing internet business in the 21st century? Or is there a better way? Thanks for stopping by NPC Overrider, where we challenge mainstream source code to develop independent thought, one user story at a time. Grab a slingshot, and let's check out the latest programming. Block 1. How this affects you, even if you're nowhere near a data center. As you might have noticed, utility prices are on the rise across the country. According to Bloomberg, areas with higher concentrations of data centers saw electricity prices jump 267% over the last 5 years. Ouch! In Virginia's data center alley, where there's a shit ton, some homeowners saw their bills jump dramatically. For example, a Manassas, Virginia man, John Steinbach, saw his bill surge from about $100 a month to $281 in a single month. But you don't need to be in Northern Virginia to feel the burn. Wholesale power prices have surged from around $77 per megawatt hour in the first quarter of 2025 to about $136 in the same period of this year, according to Monitoring Analytics, an independent federal watchdog. Utilities need to build new power plants, transmission lines, and substations to meet the demand. This hurts everyone, not just the data center owners. That's why you and I might pay more even if there's no data center near us. Nationally, residential rates rose 7.1% in 2025. Block 2, what we gain. But there must be something in it for us, right? When they first put up power grids back in the day, it was an inconvenience that went through people's property, but it gave everybody power. Same thing with airports. They're loud, noisy, take up a ton of space, but we can travel all over the place at a relatively low cost. And there's an upside to the data centers being built as well. The biggest pro you'll probably hear is tax revenue and jobs. These data centers generate significant local and state tax revenue. A 2025 PwC study estimated that data centers contributed over $162 billion in federal, state, and local taxes in 2023. Loudoun County, Virginia expects nearly $800 million this year from data centers alone. Then there's the jobs. Construction creates hundreds to thousands of temporary high-paying jobs. Once open for business, data centers admittedly run on skeleton crews, but they still provide permanent on-site and remote positions. Then there's advancements in everyday life. We see improved diagnostics in healthcare, improved predictive maintenance and robotics in manufacturing, more accurate imaging analysis, and conveniences like better internet search options, remote work tools, and of course, we can't discount the meme. Then there's the geopolitical edge, staying competitive with China, which is aggressively building data centers and power infrastructure. The US leads in advanced AI for now, but we could fall behind if we don't build what we need. Block 3, what we lose. Well, for one, the costs are high, literally. This means higher bills for regular families. In Northern Virginia, a regional energy provider was approved to raise rates by about $11 per month for residences starting in 2026, with an additional increase in 2027. This could mean lost homes. People like Ansley Brown are actively fighting for their houses and land. And I couldn't find any specific examples of people's houses getting bulldozed because of eminent domain. But once that precedent is set, if things go south for people like Ansley Brown, we can expect the dominoes to fall. Then there's the massive water use. A single large data center can consume millions of gallons daily, as much as a small city. That's up to 5 million gallons daily, which equates to about as much as 16,000 plus households on average, according to EPA estimates. And there's other impacts. For example, some Georgia residents, as a result of local data center construction, complain of contaminated well water, construction damage, and light pollution. And there's the weird dystopian noises that these things put off.
I'm hoping that my phone is capturing that noise.
It is.
Oh my, yeah,
it is nuts. Actually significantly
That's what the sound that happens in my ears when I sleep. Bro, imagine working inside.
Communities near data centers see more car accidents due to increased traffic. For example, accidents in a rural area where Meta is building its Hyperion campus jumped by more than 600% at the start of 2025. Then there's the backroom deals. Data center deals between tech companies and residents are often a secret until the deal is done, as local officials sign non-disclosure agreements with the tech companies. Block 4, pushing back. Seems like an impossible fight, but everyday Americans are successfully pushing back. For example, in Indiana, Google canceled a $1 billion data center after upset townsfolk took to the streets in September of 2025. We're seeing some political momentum too, as over 30 states introduced more than 300 bills in 2026 to regulate data centers. States like New York, South Dakota, and Oklahoma have paused construction to study local and environmental impact. The tech companies themselves are also responding positively. For example, Microsoft launched their Community First AI infrastructure plan, committing to cover its own power cost, minimize water use, create local jobs, contribute to local taxes, and invest in community nonprofits. Anthropic, the parent company of Claude AI, plans to do something similar. Federal government's getting involved too. This is from the White House. Quote, under President Trump's leadership, Amazon, Google, Meta, Microsoft, OpenAI, Oracle, and xAI signed the Ratepayer Protection Pledge, agreeing to build, bring, or buy new generation resources and cover the cost of all power delivery infrastructure upgrades required for their data centers, ensuring such expenses are not passed to American households. Quick admin note here, if you made it this far and you like what I'm doing, please set the like button to true and consider joining the dev team by hitting the subscribe button. Now let's get into the final patch. How we build smarter without sacrificing rights or raising your rates unfairly. Well, one thing's for sure. We're not going back to the way things were in 2015, but reforming eminent domain, prioritizing construction around old industrial sites or on federal land, and responsible resourcing all sound great, but those are long term. It's promising that tech companies are getting involved in pledging to do the right thing, but those pledges aren't legally binding. They can promise the White House or the American people one thing today and do something completely different tomorrow. In the meantime, Ansley Brown's fight is still very much alive. Georgia Power continues to pursue eminent domain for the Ashley Park-Wansley transmission line project. Ansley and people in similar situations accuse these utility companies of lowballing offers and using the threat of condemnation to force negotiations. Georgia Power maintains that it uses an eminent domain as a last resort and has made offers above appraised value in some cases. The project remains in dispute with growing public attention and local frustration. I think this is a big reason why we've seen so many attacks on American family values and efforts to break up families and communities. When you break up the American family and ultimately communities and the nation as a whole, people don't really care. People don't care about their land or their community. They don't care if you build a data center or not. They don't care about the environment. Everybody's kind of in it for themselves, doing their own thing to scrape up what they can. But when families and communities stick together and fight back and give a rip about their community and the future of their kids, well, then you see Goliath take one right between the eyes, just like we saw in Indiana. So pay attention to your local and state politicians and vote accordingly. You can follow Ansley on X at Ansley's Garden, where she's posting updates, and see what happens with her story. Because it's not just about her. It's always somebody else's problem until you find that power company letterhead in your mailbox. Well, that's going to do it for this version of NPC Overrider. I'm your lead engineer, Greg. But what do you think? Has your electric bill gone up lately? Do you care if there's a data center built in your area? Would you be happy to sell your childhood home? Open up a ticket in the comments section and let's chat. But for now, we're going to grab a beer. Thanks so much for stopping by. Have a good one.